From the author of Spinsterella, a strange and unusual romance and spellbound, a darker shade of black comes the legendary Magic Children. Pick up the conclusion of the Spinsterella trilogy in paperback and e-readers this Halloween. This video probably won't get monetized by YouTube, so if you could donate $1 or more to my Patreon or my PayPal by clicking the link in the description box, it'd be greatly appreciated. Yesterday, President Donald Trump signed an executive order stating that the opioid crisis was a national health emergency. Now, I talked about this opioid crisis in a previous video called Karma Comes to America. And in that video, I talked about how the drug culture that was promoted in the 1960s and the 1970s to destroy the black community has now come back in the 21st century to become a major crisis in white communities. And the reason why the opioid crisis has become a major crisis in white communities is due to white denial. Now, most white people thought that the drug problems in America were primarily a black issue due to the mainstream media promoting drug use as something that black people did, and people in government making efforts to bring drugs primarily to black communities to be sold and distributed in black communities. And the reason why they did that was because, again, they wanted to find a way to kill black men because they thought it wasn't going fast enough with the disproportionate draft of black men in the Vietnam War. So what they did was they brought drugs to the black community, and then as drugs were promoted in the black community as the only way to make money, because oftentimes, a lot of times, black men had a hard time getting and keeping jobs because discrimination was still going on in the job market. A lot of black men went to taking drugs, and some went to selling drugs, and that was what led to the decline of a large part of the black community's male population. However, we fast forward 40 years after the start of bringing drugs into the black community, and now we see a major crisis happening in the white community. And in fact, there are so many deaths of opioid overdoses that many morgues can't even keep up with them, because we've had close to 60,000 deaths last year, and that number is looking to be higher this year. And they're talking about this opioid crisis because a lot of these white people are really scared of one thing, and that one thing that they're scared of is white mortality. Because when it comes down to white birth rates have been declining over the last 50 years. And the reason why white birth rates have been declining is due to feminism, because thanks to the feminists talking about women being equal, women have left the home and entered the job market. And because they have entered the job market, they spend most of their childbearing years in the job market, and they do not go out here and have children. And because they don't have children, the white population has declined in America. And because the white European population is shrinking, this is why they have a serious issue with this opioid crisis, because on both ends of the candle, you're seeing the white European population shrink. And because they're seeing this white population shrink, that's why they're considering this an opioid crisis. What they wanted to do with the drugs in America was they wanted to use them as a way to eugenically get rid of black people. And unfortunately, karma has come to America, and what they wanted to do to the black population is now happening to the white population. And that's why so many white people are so anxious and scared these days, because they see that their population of adults is declining due to drug overdoses, and they see that their birth rates are going lower due to the fact that most of their women are out here in the job market, in the workforce, and are not having children to replace the white population. The white population has declined, and that's why we have this opioid crisis here in America. The roots of this opioid crisis aren't about drugs in America. It's really about white mortality, white birth rates, and a declining white population. That's what's got so many people scared in America, and that's what got so many people nervous, because they understand that the white European population is shrinking, and it's shrinking not because of black people and other minorities, but it's shrinking due to tactics used by white people and the promotion of drug culture here in America, which was created by your Dr. Timothy Leary back in the 1960s, who promoted drug culture as a social norm when he came up with LSD and wrote papers about LSD. And now karma is coming back to America because many of those same white people, like Timothy Leary, who promoted drug culture among whites, are leading to the decline of white people. And now they're terrified about living in a world that is going to be blacker, browner, yellower, and that really terrifies them because with the white population shrinking on both the birth rate and the adult rate due to the mortality issues, they see this opioid crisis not as a drug crisis, but as a white population crisis. And that's the root of it. And that's why everyone is so scared. They had no problem with drugs in America as long as it was killing black people. But now that the drugs are killing white people and white people are not having babies at replacement population levels, now it's a major crisis, and now they want to do something about drugs here in America. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.